Welcome back to the Sports News Analysis YouTube channel, where I'm always breaking down the hot sports topics of the day. My name is Mike. Be sure to check out my other videos and subscribe to my channel here on YouTube to get all of my sports talk videos delivered directly to you. The Jacksonville Jaguars have hired a head coach and a GM here in the last couple weeks. David Caldwell first as their general manager, and then of course, Gus Bradley, recently hired as their head coach. Caldwell comes by way of the Falcons Pro Personnel Department. Bradley comes as the from being the defensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks. Although these two, I think, have the biggest uphill climb as far as the organization they're entering into and the revamping they have to do. I think they're starting from the most behind the eight ball. I think these two guys are the right guys to get the job done in Jacksonville going forward. And there's several reasons for that. First of all, Caldwell. You look at Caldwell's background, you dig a little bit deeper into it. Okay, he's been a scout pro personnel guy his entire career. In '98, he starts with the Colts. It's the year the Colts drafted Peyton Manning. He's involved as an area scout for them for close to a decade. From '98 to 2007, he's involved in the Colts front office. During that time, when you look at the players that were drafted into the Colts organization, that were developed in the Colts organization, I think that speaks to him, one, having patience to be able to build something sort of from the bottom up, right? That situation was not ideal when Peyton Manning got there. They had a rough first season. I think the ability to be a part of an organization that from a scouting perspective stuck to a plan, stuck with what they wanted, him and the other scouts were able to get players to fit a certain type of defense that they wanted to go along with a high-powered Peyton Manning offense. A lot of the offensive guys they got to complement Peyton Manning, whether it be the Edgerrin Jameses or the Reggie Waynes or the Dallas Clarks. I think it's a good sign that he comes from that kind of pedigree, that kind of experience in the scouting department with Indianapolis. And then you look at when he went to Atlanta. Was there any worse situation to step into when he became the director of college scouting for Atlanta? Atlanta had just gotten over Bobby Petrino leaving. Atlanta had just gotten over the whole Michael Vick situation. The 2008 is when they drafted Matt Ryan, hired Mike Smith, and began this ascension, that they have all the way now to the NFC Championship game and on the brink of a Super Bowl. And again, it was about rebuilding a roster. It was about drafting players through college, which Caldwell was directly involved in. Whether it was the acquisition, the drafting of Sean Witherspoon, whether it was the signing of Michael Turner, the drafting of a guy like Roddy White, the drafting of having him along with Thomas Dimitroff to know the value involved with getting a guy like Julio Jones and trading up to get him. Again, building an organization from sort of nothing, or a very tough situation, I should say, and getting it to the point where they've been one of the most consistent winners in the NFL the last 3 years, and finally getting a little bit of that playoff success as well. So that's why I like the Caldwell hire. As far as the Gus Bradley hire, I like the fact they went outside. Well, I was going to say outside the box, but they went the opposite of every other team and went for a defensive guy. They went for a defensive guy who has experience as a player in college, coached on a lower-level college at North Dakota State and Fort Lewis State. He was at North Dakota State, his alma mater, for close to a decade as a defensive coordinator. Then from there, he gets plucked by the Buccaneers to be an assistant. He works under Monty Kiffin, and then Monty Kiffin in 2008, 2009, highly recommends him to Jim Mora, then coach of Seattle, for their defensive coordinator position. If you see some of the quotes that Monty Kiffin, a well-respected defensive coach, I know his defenses at USC haven't been great, but I don't think Monty Kiffin has to explain his defensive coordinator credentials to anyone. Monty Kiffin, if you look at some of the quotes and his recommendations for Gus Bradley to Jim Mora back when that search was going on, he said, he's one of the best fine young coaches he's ever seen, that he's a must-hire, things of this nature. So by the request of Monty Kiffin, he gets the Seattle defensive coordinator job. And his first year with Seattle goes 5-11. The defense is 25th in the league. They fired Jim Mora Pete Carroll decides to keep Bradley on. Then you've seen in the last 3-4 seasons how this defense has continually improved. That was due, one, to Bradley really being able and given time to implement his program, getting the players he needed to implement the defense he wanted to implement. And you look this year. They started off 25th in the league in defense when he got there, and they were first in defense this year. Okay? And I think the Bradley hire is a good hire. Again, he built a defense from nothing into something. And also, if you want to get or compete quicker in this league and you don't have a quarterback, you need to go the way that the 49ers did, I think, and really build up that defense and really build up that offensive line, and everything else will sort of fall into place. And I think you'll see that's the model that the Jaguars play or take. They have no quarterback. I think you'll see them try to build depth, build a plan, and stick to that plan, because you got two guys that have been in not-so-great situations, have stuck to a plan, and it's yielded big dividends for them. So they believe in their processes and they believe in their plan, which I think is very big, because although they might not have success next year, let's say, they'll have the bigger goals in mind. And hope Shad Khan sticks with them long enough so they can see their plan all the way through. Let me know what you guys think of the Bradley and Caldwell hires. I'm obviously very on board with them. Again, I'm not a Jaguars fan, but from the outside looking in, I think they're two good hires. I think they have the biggest uphill climb, though, of any coach and GM. So hopefully they're given the time to really see this thing out. Let me know what you guys think. Hit me up on the YouTube comments. Hit me up on Twitter as well. And as always, subscribe to my page here, guys, and all these videos will get delivered directly to you. Thanks for listening, and have a good night.